What's up guys, macadii here, and today guys, week 2 of the GPC League, where I am up against MartyrDom, coach of the Richmond Rayquazas. So if you guys are excited, don't forget to leave a like down below. I would really appreciate it. So far, I know the last 2 days we've had uploads from the GPC, it's just I need to catch up. So I do apologise that we've had like draft analysis, then league match, but after that we will be all caught up, so that's really good news, and the next one will be up on Saturday. So as always, what we're going to do is run through what MartyrDom could be bringing. Then we're going to sort of go through what I decided to bring, and then from there go into the match. So Richmond Rayquazas could bring the Scolipede, Landorus-T, Slowking, Latios, Cobalion, Mandibuzz, Blaziken, Aromatisse, Ariados, and Rotom-Freeze. A really solid squad. A few things to note. There's a few scary things, like Latios is a very spooky Mega to try and face, and obviously it's quite expensive, but it's still a very spooky thing to try and deal with. Scolipede as well, being able to pass speed into things like the Blaziken, the Latios, stuff like that could be very scary. I need to bring hazard removal as well, because he could bring sticky webs in the form of Ariados. Aromatisse is very bulky as well, so I need to try and find ways to be able to beat that. And I found so far I do struggle a little bit with bulky fairy types. Though obviously I do have things like Gouge if I do need to bring that to try and handle it. Landorus-T as well, I need to watch out. That can either be a defensive set, which checks a lot of my prominent threats, like my Terrakion, but on the other hand it can also be a Swords Dance or Rock Polish Sweeper, so that's another thing that I need to keep an eye on. So he's got a lot of bulk, a really good amount of offense, and a decent amount of speed with Scolipede and Latios. So that's a few things I knew I had to watch out for. So the first Pokemon I decided to bring, which I felt had a decently good matchup, is Landorus. So Landorus is designed to be a wall breaker and sort of handle things like the Mandibuzz and the Aromatisse relatively well. Mainly the Mandibuzz though, if I can get that out of the way, makes my life a lot easier because it's such a bulky thing. So this guy is speed crept to 310, which allows us to outspeed Landorus-T, the Slowking, Mandibuzz, Blaziken, Aromatisse, Ariados, and Rotom-Freeze. So most of his squad, which is really nice, and that's the more bulky end. So being able to have a wall breaker that does that is really nice. We've got a slightly weird spread, so most of the time people run max special attack. I had a look at it, he's got a lot of levitators with, the Landorus-T, the Latios, the Mandibuzz, and I'm expecting Mandibuzz to be the switch 100% of the time almost. Just because it is one of the best checks to Landorus. So what I decided was to go for a physical set with the Rock Slide, and what that means is basically I'm able to 2-hit KO almost any variant. I've got, obviously the switch is incredibly obvious, so most of the time I will be clicking Rock Slide. With 125 base attack, with Life Orb plus Sheer Force, this attack's going to be doing a really decent amount of damage, though weirdly, Earth Power against a lot of things does do a little bit more if it's more of like a physically defensive Pokemon. So for example, the Aromatisse comes in on a Rock Slide. Earth Power will in fact do more if it's a physically defensive set, whereas Rock Slide will still do a decent amount if it's specially defensive. So hopefully being able to hit on both sides really hard will allow me to break through his walls depending on what his investment is, and I only take one hit to work out exactly what that investment is. U-turn gives me some initiative and allows, if the Latios is switching sometimes, I can switch that out, get a really good amount of damage with the U-turn, and go out from there. And finally, the HP Ice. The HP Ice allows me to OHKO the Landorus, and also the fact that the Mandibuzz is one of the main switch-ins to this, being able to just go for a safe HP Ice, if I'm in on Landorus. If the Mandibuzz wants to come in, then I can get basically a really good amount of damage from there, and potentially then kill with the Rock Slide. Next up, we got the Mega Houndoom, which goes alongside this. So this guy is designed to be able to set up a sub on a few things. I outspeed his entire team outside of the Scolipede after +1. So this guy's designed to basically deal a decent amount of damage to most of his team. I outspeed most of his team, so that's really nice. The sub allows me to capitalize on the Scolipede, so the Scolipede might have to go for Protect if he goes up against me and he's not got any speed boost, so I can sub up on that Protect, which is really nice. And the Nasty Plot allows me to potentially capitalize on the Mandibuzz as well. So if the Mandibuzz is in, and I'm in with Houndoom, I can get that Nasty Plot up, and then a Flamethrower or Dark Pulse is going to be doing a huge amount to most of his team. As I said, his Scolipede will be his main check, and he's going to have to protect that first turn, so I can then get the sub up, and then get the kill from there. Then we've got Rotom Wash. I felt I had to bring Rotom here because it allows me to check the Landorus-T. It allows me to check the Cobalion, because Cobalion could be a big problem if it was like a more offensive Swords Dance set. Just generally just be a bit of a annoyer, and a really nice pivot for my team as well. A nice check for Scolipede to an extent, like I can take a hit, but if it's a very offensive Life Orb set, I can't take 2 Mega Horns, so I need to be really, really careful about that. And then, next up we've got Florges. Now, Florges doesn't have the best matchup. He's got things like the Cobalion. If he's got like an offensive Landorus-T, that could be a problem. The Blaziken, if it's got Poison Jab. The Ariados, and obviously the Scolipede as well. So I need to be really careful about how I play the Florges. But I have to bring it because it's my only check to Mega Latios. This guy can switch into almost every variant of Mega Latios. The only one being a problem is probably Combine Mega Latios, but I'm just going to have to try and deal with that if he does decide to bring that. With Wish Protect, Moonblast, and Aromatherapy. So that allows me to obviously heal up my team, which is nice. Then we've got obviously Passing Wishes, just makes my switches a lot easier, and also, you know, allows me to bring in my Landorus for free and a few other things like that, which is really nice. And then finally Moonblast, because it hits a lot of his team hard. Mainly that Mega Latios, as I said, it's going to be the main check. Next, I wasn't too sure, like the rest of my team struggles quite a lot with his, so I had to try and find something that would be a little bit more innovative and interesting, and that could potentially put in work. So I thought that this Terrakion set could be quite useful. So it's a sub SD set, so it's designed to sub up on things like the Mandibuzz or you know, a few other things. I can get the SD up potentially, and then Close Combat and Swords Dance has a hits his entire team neutrally. And with that Salak Berry boost as well, if I can get to +2/+1, I could potentially clean up his team from there. I sub up on, you know, another Scolipede to protect if I haven't popped that Salak. Actually, guess if I've popped the Salak Berry, you won't be doing it anyway. But basically, just sort of, apart from maybe the Scolipede, I can hit everything else decently hard. And then finally, we've got the Fortress with Stealth Rock, Rapid Spin, Toxic, and Jarable. This is designed to be another switch into Mega Latios if I need to. I can set up the Stealth Rock, which is going to help me a lot with the Scolipede and the Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz with Stealth Rocks up is so much easier to deal with because it comes in, as long as you're doing about 38%, you're going to be doing, you know, or maybe a little bit more with leftovers, I guess, but still, you're going to be able to 2-hit KO, and that it allows me a lot of it helps, you know, sort of me with a lot of 2-hit KOs, especially with things like, you know, my Florges hits it hard, the Terrakion hits it hard, but doesn't necessarily 2-hit KO. The Landorus, you know, hits it hard as well, so it allows me to basically get a lot more 2-hit KOs on it, makes it much harder for him to defog, which is really nice for me, and also, you know, breaks potential sashes and stuff like that, like Sash Scolipede. And then finally, Jarable allows me to hit the Mega Latios hard, the Scolipede hard as well. Just generally, a decent check to the Scolipede in case that decides to Swords Dance up and things like that. So that's the team, so what we're going to do now is move over to the battle where you can see exactly how it went down. Okay, so we are at the battle, and as you can see, he decided to bring a lot of prominent threats. So we've got the, what's it called, Landorus-T, the Mega Latios, which I'm expecting to be a offensive set. Then he's got a defensive core going on with the Aromatisse and Mandibuzz, and I guess the Slowking as well, but that's going to form more of the bulky, like, offense part of the core. And then finally the Scolipede, so I need to be really, really careful and try and work out what that set is as soon as I can. So I decided in terms of lead, my best lead here would be the Rotom-Wash, and I need to turn off the music, there you go. So I lead off with Rotom-Wash as he leads up with Latios. I have to get straight out of here, I can't afford Rotom to get worn down. As he megas up into the Latios, and he just goes for the Psyshock. So that shows me it's an offensive set. So here, I was like, okay, I could wish up here, but I know he's going to be switching here. So do I get some damage, potentially break the Sash on the, you know, incoming? I was expecting probably Scolipede or something like that. So I was like, I'll go for a Moonblast here. As he goes for Psyshock, and I'm like, oh, no, I made a mistake here. I get a decent amount of damage on the Latios and get the special attack drop, but I don't think that's going to be enough to, even after a Protect, to get that recovery. It's looking very, very iffy about whether I'm going to be able to live this next one, and I was like, I can't afford to lose my Florges so early, because it's my main switch into this Latios. So I decided my best thing to do is switch out here. So he switches into Landorus here, as, you know, if I could have got Wish up there, which is a real shame, but I decided to switch into Walnut, and this gives me an opportunity to get my rocks. He goes to the Earthquake, and this looks to be more of an offensive Landorus from what I saw with the calcs, and what I can do here is now switch out. And I decide my Landorus-I is the best way to go because I'm immune to the Earthquake. I can then go for HP Ice and do a good amount of damage to whatever wants to come in, and in comes the Mandibuzz. So this is what we wanted. This is the prep that we needed. So him Power Ice does a decent amount, but from that range, I can kill most variants. Looking at the spread, I had a very good chance to kill with this Rock Slide, so I went for it. got the kill on the Mandibuzz, so rocks are up here to stay, which is really, really nice. Out comes the Latios, and I decide, you know what, I've got to go into Florges here. Oh no, I go into Walnut here to sack it off, that's it. As he goes for Surf here, and now I'm at a decent amount of HP after my leftovers, and I'm like, okay, I can live another hit. I'm going to go for Gyro Ball, get some damage on this Latios, because he hasn't revealed whether he's got Roost or not. And he goes for another Surf, and then he crits and kills. Now this was a huge, huge crit, because first of all, I'd have killed the Latios. Secondly, my Florges isn't at a good amount of HP because it's 30% and it did 44% with a Psyshock. So even if I come in, protect, get my leftovers up, that's still not going to be enough to be able to handle this Latios. So it's like, right, I need to try and think quick, think on my feet and find a way to basically predict around this Latios to get that HP back. So I go into my Florges, go for the protect here so I can get some of the leftovers, but it's not going to be enough because it still does 44%. So I was like, okay, I need to make him do some 50-50s and I need to win every 50-50. So I was like, right, go into Maxis, the Houndoom. I can take the Psyshock, so I don't take any damage, which is really, really nice. Now I'm going to go back into my Florges and hopefully, and he does go for the Draco, which is really, really nice. So now what we can do is we can protect, and now we're back at a good amount of HP. Because I think from that range, though, I don't think a Surf killed. I can't remember. So I was, but I'm pretty sure, you know, I was fairly safe going back into Florges. So now I'm in an absolutely fantastic position because now what I can do is get my Wish up and get my Florges back up to full. Because my Florges at the minute is a very much a defensive win con. Outside of that Scolipede there's not much that can really take it on, so that's really, really nice for us. So he goes for a U-turn here, showing that he is in fact a offensive Landorus. Double checking from that U-turn damage, as I decide just to go for another Wish here because I can pass into something if I need to and see what he decides to do. So I decide to pass into my Houndoom, and this is where I it got a little bit goofy. So he went for the Moonblast, shows that it doesn't 2KO. Now at this point here I was like, okay, he's either going to go for like a Toxic or he's going to switch out. So I'm going to go for the Sub, which was definitely not the right play to make because now he can go for the Moonblast and he can 2KO me. So that was a bit of a wasted effort from my part. But I can go back into my Florges and I can just pass up another Wish. So that's not too bad. You know, I've got ways around it basically. But it was a bit of a shame. It was it would have been good to have been able to get a Sub and a Nasty Plot up on that guy. Because I do outspeed the rest of his team outside of that Scolipede. And I had enough HP there to pull up the Sub after he tried to protect on me. So he goes for a U-turn here again and goes out into the Aromatisse. So it's a little bit of a slower part, I must admit. As I'm just going for Moonblast, not really doing much. So I'm like, okay, I need to find a way to be able to crack this Aromatisse. So I go for the Wish again, and I'm like, okay, what can I pass? He hasn't shown Toxic. He's probably just going to be like Heal Bell or something like that. So I'm going to switch out into Banhammer here, get that little bit of HP back, which is nice, as he goes into Scolipede. So that's great for me, because most Scolipedes are like Earthquake, Mega Horn, Poison Jab, Protect, that sort of thing. So there's a good chance he won't be able to OHKO me, unless he's got like HP Ice, but even then I don't think he will. So I go for Rock Slide here, and I know from that damage that he's most likely some sort of physically defensive Aromatisse, and from that calc, Earth Power will actually do more, even though I'm less invested. So that's really, really nice. So I can just go for the Earth Power here, take out the Aromatisse. So Landorus-I is being really, really helpful right now, broken both of his walls, so that makes my life a lot easier. Out comes the Latios. Now I'm at a decent amount of HP with, full HP. I can come in and basically just wall out this Latios, which is really, really nice. Out comes Mr. Scolipede. Still don't really know what the Scolipede's up to, but obviously he is going to be the speed boosting variant. So I decide to switch out here and go into my Rotom-Wash, just see what he's going to do. He goes for the Mega Horn here. Now, from this damage here, it looks like he was some sort of like Jolly, or whichever one it is. Yeah, Jolly Bandit, and that was a low roll. So that was some good information to have at that point. So Banded Scolipede is scary, but as long as I keep my Landorus-I up at a decent amount of HP, I'm good to go. So I can just go far off a Will-O-Wisp here, and that's some nice damage on residual damage on the Latios. I've still got my very reliable switch into Latios, so that's really, really good for us. So as long as I just play, as I said, very, very defensively with my Florges, I should be able to handle the rest and slowly wear down the rest of his team. So he goes for Psyshock here. I can take one after this, so I can go for a Wish here and be in a very, very decent position. So he does go for another Psyshock here, as I just go for a Moonblast in case he decides to roost up or even switch into the Scolipede, because I can still do a decent amount to the Scolipede from there. So out comes Mr. Scolipede. one more time. I'm going to go for the Protect here, because then I can see what he's locked himself into. And he goes for the Poison Jab. So I was like, okay, I can go into Landorus-I. It does about 25%, something like that, if it's banded. So, maybe a little bit more than that. He goes for the Poison Jab, and it does less than expected, but that's something I didn't notice, and that's a mistake you will see sort of catch up later on. So he goes to Protect here, and then in my mind this thing was still banded. I don't know why, but basically it turned out to be an Insect Plate variant, which was Adamant, which is why it managed to do so much to my Rotom, and it sort of just hit the cusp of banded. So I had it in my head it was banded, and I didn't even notice, stupidly didn't notice that Protect. And I'm going ahead of myself. So out comes the Slowking as I go for the Rock Slide, and I do a decent amount to that. Out comes the other Landorus as I'm able to just get the U-turn off, but I'm getting really worn down here, which is not good at all, as he's then going to go, I'm going to go into my Rotom Wash. He goes for Knockoff here, and I'm still at a decent amount of HP that I can still take a hit from the Scolipede if I need to, so that's really, really good. I just need to make sure the Scolipede doesn't sweep me late game, as I just go for Hydro Pump, take out the Landorus, and that's really, really nice for me. Now out comes the Slowking, and I can basically try and work out what I want to do for here. I decided to go for Willow just to help wear this guy down. I didn't know whether he was going to go for like a Psyshock or a Calm Mind or something like that. Gets the burn on Washington, which is a shame. But I can Pain Split up here, get a good amount of HP back, as he's basically just going to go for Psyshocks here. And Washington's now too low to be able to take on the Scolipede, so I'm still quite worried about the Scolipede. And remember, in my head, I still think it's banded, which is really, really stupid of me. So I go into my Houndoom here, and I was like, okay, it's banded, I can just go for a Flamethrower and win, I don't need to sub up. But he goes to Protect, and I was like, wait, this is when I realised that it wasn't banded, and I was, why did I do that? Anyway, I should have just subbed up on that Protect, because he's now able to take me out the Earthquake, and it's looking very, very scary. But I was like, okay, he's not Life Orb, so that means I could go in. Actually, first of all, I got a little bit heated, and I went into Landorus-I, because I was like, I know Lando could take the hit, I'm just going to go in. But I forgot about that really crucial poison on him, because that's going to be really, really key. Because if it wasn't poisoned, I'd have been able to take a hit, and I forgot the fact that Scolipede would be able to Protect and bring me down to a point where he could kill me. So now he can go for the Poison Jab, take me out. So I basically threw Landorus-I under the bus for no reason. But luckily, Terrakion can still take a hit, and also Florges. So I was like, okay, I've got still got a good chance of winning this. I can, as long as he doesn't crit me, he can go for the Earthquake. I'll kill with the Stone Edge, and that's going to be game from there. So it was much closer at the end than I thought it was going to be. I should have just subbed up with Houndoom. Noticed it wasn't banded, subbed up with Houndoom, and gone on from there, rather than have it in my mind that he was banded, because that would have basically been a 5-0 victory, which would have been much nicer than it ended up being. But anyway, I still managed to win the game, which is the main thing. So I hope you guys did enjoy the match. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. I would really, really appreciate it, and I will see you guys at the next one. Macadii out.